Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So my son and I decided to play a game. It's been a long time since we've done that. I gave him the choice if he wanted to play Bretonnia or if he wanted to be the Dark Emissary leading the monsters on another rampage. And so he wanted to do the monsters. So I brought out a Bretonnian list, 2250. Then again, I made the list. I made both lists before I knew which one I'd be playing, and we thought we'd give it a go. So I set up most of my stuff before my son did. So starting in my far left corner, I threw down a trebuchet. Then in the lower right of this picture, you can see I have 9 Knights Errant with the errantry banner, and then 2 units of 9 Knights of the Realm each. And in the topmost unit in this picture, I've actually got a couple characters. So let's see. The Green Knight model is again being used for my Battle Standard Bearer until I get my normal one fixed. And the one right next to it with the Lord character holding the axe is my Heroic Killing Blow General. So my BSB has a 2-up rerollable armor save, and my General has the Virtue of Heroism with the Heartwood Lance. And then he's got like the Tress Fasould and the Dragonbane Gem just to use the rest of his points. Next to them I've got a large bus of Men-at-Arms. See, next to the Men-at-Arms I've got 9 Questy Knights full command, and then I've got another large unit of Men-at-Arms in horde formation, and you can see I have a spellcaster in with them. She's a level 2 damsel, Lore of Beasts, and I gave her the prayer icon of Quinellus. And then flipping the camera around, I've already introduced the Men-at-Arms. Behind him is a trebuchet, and then I've got a unit of 3 Pegasus Knights. So the way my son decided to play his army was really to use 2 different clusters. So here on my right, he's got a unit of Harpies, and these things have poison and flaming and magical attacks, but really poison's the only thing that's going to matter against me. He's got a Great Eagle which has the 5-up armor save. Now behind it is a Griffin, which I just love the Storm of Magic build on this thing. It's got 2 extra attacks, like a chomp attack and a tail attack, and there's benefits with them. But then he also has Always Strikes First, which is a nice little upgrade. It makes him on initiative 5, means he's going to be re-rolling a lot to hit. Next to that's a Fire Dragon, and then next to the Fire Dragon is a Gorgon. So he's got a couple War Machine Hunter redirectors, and then he's got a Griffin, a Dragon, and a Gorgon on my right side of the board. So then there's kind of a gap in the middle. Then he's got 3 Dragon Ogres with great weapons, an Ancient Stegodon, another Great Eagle, again with a 5-up armor save. And behind it, you can't see the model that well from here, but it's a Chimera, and he's got a bunch of upgrades. First of all, he's got a Strength 4 Breath Weapon, he's got a 4-up armor save, then he's got Fiend Tail and Rending Fang, so he gets D3+1 extra attacks in addition to everything else. And then on the really at the top of this picture, you can't see it, but there's the Dark Emissary at the very top. And then behind that terrain, I have the Bull Taurus, or the Great Taurus, I guess. He has Blood Rage and Flaming Breath, so he has Hatred, Frenzy, and a Breath attack. Then there's my favorite unit of Harpies. They have Killing Blow, which with 2 attacks each makes them a real threat to Knights. And behind him he has just 5 Warhounds. So you can see he has a cluster on my right, and then here's another cluster on my left. That if he can bring 3 of the big monsters together on any of my units, he's probably going to mop them up pretty quickly. So he gets the choice to go first, of course, and he moves up, as you can see. Over here on my right hand side, you see he's very aggressive. On the far right, he wants to get those Harpies to my trebuchet as quickly as possible, and then he's much less aggressive with the monsters that are in front of my Questy Knights. I probably would have been a little more aggressive with him. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I didn't ask. Now, the one thing he's ignoring are my Peg Knights, and I'm wondering if he's thinking that if my Peg Knights charges Harpies, he's got poison, which might help things go his way. Other than that, I'm just not sure. And here's what it looks like on the left side of the board. Again, he was very, very aggressive with his Harpies to get to my trebuchet. These ones, of course, there's nothing I have to threaten them. And then otherwise, you can see, again, he probably wasn't as aggressive as I would have been, but I know that his Eagle is within charge reach of my Knights Errant, but just barely, so he wants to force me to take their Impetuous test. So we go to Bretonnia turn 1 because nothing of significance happened in his magic phase, and for the most part, I really just kind of move up a little bit. One of my big concerns here was all the terrain across the table, all those woods and that lake. I mean, everything's just negating steadfast and forcing dangerous terrain tests. really just made for a lot of awkwardness on the Bretonnian side. So I'm just really trying to make it to where he can't multiple charge me very easily. So hoping that if he comes in with a monster, it'll be just one. I can take care of it quickly, or he'll fail charges and I can charge him. Here on the right, during his magic phase, he did get -2. I think of every he has the miasma, so -2 movement, -2 initiative, -2 weapon skill, all that stuff in the Peg Knights. I decided to still go in against the Harpies because I just really need to take care of them. The men-at-arms tried to charge his Griffin. I thought, I could charge him and get them all the way through the woods. So, as it is now, if he charged me, I would be out of the woods, and if I charge him now, I'm out of the woods. But if something happens in between, I'm not going to be steadfast, which would be bad. But they failed to charge. And then over on the left, I really, really did not want to declare a charge with my Knights Errant. For one, the odds of making the charge were slim, and if I did, yeah, I'm going to kill an eagle, but then I'm just going to get just brutalized by everything else in that corner. With the Errantry Banner, they're -2 in their Impetuous test, and so I had Leadership 9 rerollable. -2 means I had 2 chances to roll a 7 or less. I failed it, and then sure enough, I rolled an 11 or 12 or whatever it took to get into the Great Eagle. So during the magic phase, I went ahead and put a +1 strength and toughness buff on the Knights Errant, just to give him any kind of help I could. And in so doing, I got a miscast. So I put a wound on my damsel and killed, I think, 3 of my men-at-arms. After combat on the right, the Peg Knights, yeah, I think I take just 1 wound from his Harpies and easily destroy them. And more importantly, when I destroyed the Harpies, the Griffin was nearby and failed its leadership test, so it had to run away right across the table. So in some ways I was thinking that might be good, because now if he can rally, he's right near his Fire Dragon and his Gorgon, and so at least his units are closer together. But still, what a hassle. And on the left, I thought this was actually kind of funny. First off, they have the Errantry Banner, which gives them an extra +1 strength on the charge, and I gave them +1 strength and toughness. So Knights Errant come in lance formation against an eagle, strength 7, and I only do 2 wounds on the eagle. I break it from combat. I can't catch it. You can see him on the top of this top right of this picture. There's a base, and you see a red die next to it. And not only that, but when I overran, I think I needed a 4 to get to the Chimera, so at least I would get all those strength 7 hits on the Chimera next turn. And I rolled a 3 with 3 dice. You know how it works. So, yeah, epic fail on the Knights Errant part. So we go to Monsters turn 2, and overview of the board looks like this. One thing I'll note is at the top of this picture middle, you see the Griffin failed to rally. He has no Battle Standard Bearer and no real leadership near there. And so, I mean, that thing's leadership 7, but obviously not good enough. Over here on the right-hand side, he takes an eagle and parks it right in front of my men-at-arms, so that during my next turn, I can't use the men-at-arms to help out with any other combats or monsters. So I'm just going to have to, he's basically just redirecting me there. And then over here, yeah, he charged his Fire Dragon and the Gorgon into my Questy Knights, and he would have he would have ripped me apart. It wasn't that long of a charge for the Fire Dragon because he can fly, but the Gorgon's only movement 7, I believe. And so I think he needed a 9 to get there. So it was certainly doable. And if they both went in, he was thinking they both go in there, they do at least 7 wounds so that I'm not steadfast, and then can overrun, and so that I won't be able to countercharge with either of my men-at-arms units. So whereas the Gorgon failed, and so his Fire Dragon is in there all alone, here against my Knights Errant, that was not an issue. So these poor Knights Errant, they've got a Great Taurus in their left flank, Chimera in their front, 3 great weapon yielding Dragon Ogres on their right, and an Ancient Stegodon. So that that is not a good place to be. And then here on the left, so my Trebuchets turned around because during my shooting phase it misfired and couldn't shoot this turn or next. And the Harpies over here charge it, so I have no illusions of lasting very long in that combat. And then the Knights Errant promptly got absolutely obliterated. They were strength 4 because I had that one buff on there, but it just didn't matter. These monsters tore right through them. Didn't kill them to a man though, so they broke away from the only unit that had a rank, and that was the Dragon Ogre. So they went towards the side of the board. The Great Taurus was frenzied, so it had to pursue the Chimera. He wanted to restrain with, but failed the test. He was able to restrain and reform with the Stegodon and the Dragon Ogre. So the concern here is that I'm coming in with my General's unit and or another Knight of the Realm unit. And my General, of course, has heroic killing blows, so, he could really cause problems for him. And then in my lower left-hand corner, the Harpies make short work of the Trebuchet, and they just reform, and they're facing the flank of my Knights. And normally I would never fear Harpies being in my flank, but these are Harpies that have Killing Blow, which seems like a very nice counter against Knights that rely on their armor save to get by. So moving back to the middle of the table, his Fire Dragon came in. I think he used his breath attack and everything, and just when all was said and done, really only could do 4 wounds. To me, that wasn't real surprising because, even I'm only being 3 up armor save base, he's got a hit, he's got a wound, I can save some, I have the ward save. He kills 4, I was steadfast, and I stuck, and now, the dilemma for me is, what do I countercharge that thing with? Because, if I put the men-at-arms in there, I can get a flank, a charge, a banner, 3 ranks, all that kind of nice stuff, but I'm going to give him a lot of combat res from Thunderstomp and stuff like that. So we go to Bretonnia turn 2, and I say, what the heck, let's just charge everything we can. So here on the right, the men-at-arms go ahead and charge the Eagle. I should beat it easily, and then I can reform and maybe help out somewhere else on the board. And then here, I decide to go ahead and take the men-at-arms into the flank of the dragon, and then my Peg Knights. And the plan from the beginning was to try to get a +1 strength and toughness buff on the Peg Knights, so that the Knights themselves will be strength 6, and the Pegasi will be strength 5. It's a toughness 6 dragon, so at least I have a decent chance of getting some wounds in there. And I take the men-at-arms in, thinking he's probably going to direct his attacks towards the men-at-arms, so that's going to leave all of my strength 6 Questia Knights and then hopefully my high strength Pegasus Knights free to get some wounds on this thing. So it's certainly a chance, because he could roll up 10 wounds against those men-at-arms, but one I thought would be worth taking. Meanwhile, here on the left-hand side of the board, I take my Heroic Killing Blow General with my Battle Standard Bearer and the Knights of the Realm into the Ancient Stegodon, and take the other Knights of the Realm into the Chaos Warhounds, just because nobody else was there, might as well take them in and see if I can get them off the board. So after combat on the right-hand side, if you look at the symbol just below the Pegasus Knights, that means I did get the +1 strength and toughness buff on the Peg Knights. And basically, that Fire Dragon has 6 wounds. He had 1 wound from the first round of combat. We did 4 wounds on him between the Peg Knights and the Questy Knights, and maybe the Men-at-Arms, who knows. So anyway, he's sitting on 1 wound left. He really had a fail. I don't know where he directed his attacks. I think he directed his attacks at the Questy Knights. And in all honesty, that was my suggestion to him, because I said, look, you can Thunderstomp the Men-at-Arms, but the Questy Knights have strength 6 attacks. So he did that and just killed none of them. I think I ward saved everything. Then I felt awful. I don't like giving my opponents advice, because when it goes against him, then I feel like a jerk. He Thunderstomped the Men-at-Arms. I think he killed 1, maybe 2. Anyway, I had tons of combat res, broke him in combat, but couldn't catch him. And here's another angle from the same thing. During the magic phase, I got the Curse of Honor here off on him. That's the symbol to the right of this of the dragon, and which is one reason why he wasn't doing as much damage. And you can see the 5 wound tokens sitting there on him. He's got 1 left. So yeah, if he rallies on his turn, it might be interesting. If he doesn't, he's probably just going to be off the board. So here on the left-hand side of the board, of course, I had the 2 combats. On the right-hand side is my generals. Yeah, General went in there. He used the Tress of Isolde on the Ancient Stegodon and got Heroic Killing Blow off, so just right off the bat, killed that thing, didn't have to worry about a stubborn, and then overran into the Dragon Ogres. And on the left-hand side, the Knights of the Realm went in there and killed the Chaos Warhounds very, very easily, didn't lose anybody. I could have overran and maybe got a charge into the flank of either of those monsters, and I decided I just really didn't want to. I think I would have hit the Great Taurus, and then on his turn he could have countercharged into my flank with the Chimera. And I don't know how that would work because he really couldn't wheel to get in there, but because he could fly, it seemed to me that he could fly in the air and then easily get the wheel and then come into my guys. Anyway, didn't want to chance it. Nobody can really countercharge me on my turn, so I thought I'd just go ahead and hold there. If you look in the top left-hand corner, those are three Chaos Warhounds. So for all that attacks, I only did 2 wounds to him, which was pretty wimpy, but obviously enough to break him from combat. So we go to Beastman's turn, and on the right-hand side, his dragon does not rally, continues to run, does not get off the board though. If you look in the middle, the Griffin that failed to rally on his last turn actually did rally this turn, and so he's facing my knights. And the Gorgon, instead of charging him in alone and really being the only thing that he has on my right side of the table, he just passes his frenzy test and turns and moves away from everything I have, which I thought was a very, very, very smart move. You know, especially this monster unit, you've got to gang up, get as many monsters as you can, tag teaming one unit, so you can, get them destroyed. So I thought just abandoning my right whole half of the board was a very, very smart thing to do. So here's what it looks like on the left-hand side. Of course, on my turn, I got the charge into his Dragon Ogres, and he really couldn't countercharge with anybody. So he turned his Chimera and his Great Taurus, so they would have options of who they could charge, on his next turn. He charged his Harpies with Killing Blow into the flank of my Knights of the Realm. You really don't know how that's going to go, because if he doesn't roll some 6s to wound, he's probably going to lose that, and then the Knights of the Realm can charge on my next turn. And so he couldn't turn the Chimera too much because he didn't want to give me a flank. So he did what you can see there, trying to just get as many of his things consolidated as possible. And on the right hand side, like I said, the Fire Dragon did not rally. He didn't run far enough to get off the side of the board, but at the same time, he didn't run far enough to get out of line of sight of my men-at-arms. So my next turn, I can charge the men-at-arms, push that thing off the board, and then this unit of men-at-arms is probably out of the game, being so far away from everything, but at the same time, I don't need them. I've got knights that have the mobility to do what I need to do. And over here on the left-hand side, yeah, so my general's unit got the charge to his Dragon Ogres. My general gets to go first, and he scored 2 heroic killing blows against the Dragon Ogres, and then did an extra wound. So before they could even strike, my general had killed, before anybody else struck, my general killed 2 and had only 2 wounds left on the third one, and then all my knights went and just killed them before they could strike or do anything else. It was nice. It looks like I'm losing a knight. I'm not sure what that's from. Whatever. So when I was done, I just reformed the unit because I know that my turn is coming up next, and I want to be able to charge that Griffin and get out of line of sight of his Chimera and his Gorgon. So that's my plan there. And that plan was a little bit short-sighted. So this is the next Bretonnian turn. You can see I'm taking things that were on my right and reforming them and moving them as quickly as possible to help support everything on the left. The general's unit's kind of in a spot. So I charge the Griffin and he flees, and then I redirect to his Eagle and he flees. And so while it really kind of takes those two things out of the way, they were just going to die anyway if I made the charge. It forces me to have a failed charge right in front of his Gorgon. That's not good. The only good thing here is if he charges in, my general will go first. And if I get heroic killing blow, I can just make real short work of him. So with that general, I mean, this is what he's made for, is killing monsters, and so it's fun to take him in a list against monsters. It's one of those things, if I can make it, it's great, and if I don't, that Gorgon could really cause some problems for me. And during my son's turn, yeah, the Harpies charged in. They really did nothing. I killed 3 of them. They broke. I restrained, so they flew towards the side of the table, and allowed me on my turn to get the charge into his Chimera and hopefully take care of it before all of its friends can join in the fray. So after combat, it looks like this. So the Chimera starts off with 4 wounds. I go in there and I do 3 wounds to him and break him in combat. I pursue to try to just kill him and get him out of the game, and I fail. So it flees through those pillars, I guess, and through his Dark Emissary. Dark Emissary passes his panic and is sitting on the other side, 1 wound remaining. My guys, of course, stop 1 inch away from that impassable terrain, knowing they're going to get countercharged by that the great Taurus, and knowing I'll be steadfast and hoping it's enough. And here my son did something I thought was very, very smart. Instead of taking the Gorgon straight ahead, he just wheeled it, and even though it looked like it was close, we measured it and looked at it, and he had plenty of room to wheeled right around my general's unit and came into the flank of my other Knight of the Realm unit. For one, they don't have heroic killing blow, and two, if you're going to win as monsters, you've got to kill everything as quickly as possible, so you have to consolidate it. So he's got a Gorgon, a Great Taurus, and then he's got the 3 remaining Warhounds came back into the action and charged as well. Meanwhile, in the top middle of the board, his eagle that I think, I don't know where this eagle came from. So he was obviously used to redirect or something in the past. Anyway, he rallied after my general's unit had charged him and he fled. So he rallied, and the Griffin is at the very top of this picture. He did not rally. He's probably just an inch away from the edge of the board. So during the magic phase, he gets Pit of Shades off on my general's unit. It actually hit the general and the battle standard bearer, but they passed their lookout sir roll. So I lost, I think, only 2 knights to that spell, which it could have really, really gone against me there. So the way this combat on the left worked out was really, really weird. What you're looking at are the Gorgon and the Great Taurus against my general's unit. They were actually to the left against the Knight of the Realm unit before. Basically, they came in there and killed the Knight of the Realm unit down to the champion. He was the only one left. When he fled, because none of the monster units had ranks, we had to randomize it, and he fled away from either the Taurus or the Hounds, I forget which. So I placed, I rolled and placed the champion, and the Great Taurus and the Gorgon, when they went directly at the champion, hit my general's unit, and so they rolled high enough, they just had a new charge against them. And so I've never seen it played out that way, but I think it's legitimate. That's just, they kind of shifted. They pounded on one Knight of the Realm unit, and they got free charges into this other unit. Now, of course, after that, it was Bretonnian's turn, and so I was able to countercharge before we even fought that combat. So I brought the Questy Knights into the flank of the Gorgon. I brought the men-at-arms into the rear of the Gorgon, which I know is going to give them Thunderstomp against the men-at-arms, but you know what? It gives me a rear charge and 3 ranks. Oh no, I don't get the ranks because I'm in water. Anyway, I knew all that, but my thinking was I've got to get this Gorgon killed. Another thing I did was, because my general was not in combat after movement, at the start of the close combat phase, I put him into combat in the rear right-hand corner so that he was touching the Gorgon and the Great Taurus, and I just split my attacks between them, hoping for that epic moment when I rolled a heroic killing blow on each. And I thought that would just be really neat. Meanwhile, at the top of the table, I took my Peg Knights, went in and charged his Eagle. I probably could have charged his Griffin and pushed him off the table, but I really wasn't worried about it. I felt that if I charged the Eagle, I had to kind of line up on his right-hand side because that wall was in the way. So my thinking was, he only has 1 wound left. I should easily kill the Eagle, overrun, and if I overrun into the Griffin, I'm going to push him off the board, kill him anyway. So, yeah, so just charge the Eagle there. Meanwhile, during the shooting phase, I don't know if you remember when the Knights of the Realm unit beat the Chimera and he ran, he rallied, and so on his next turn he could come in. Now he's sitting on 1 wound, but if he gets his attacks in, he's nothing to sneeze at. He's got a lot going on for him. He's got the D3 tail attacks, he's got the extra chomp attack, and that's all in addition to his his base attacks. So, which is, I believe, what would it be? Is I think 6 or 7 base attacks anyway, so nothing to sneeze at. So anyway, short story long, during the shooting phase I dropped a rock on his head, killed him. So after combat it looks like this. Really, he just had an epic fail. The Taurus came in there and killed 2 Knights of the Realm, and that's it. And my general did not get heroic killing blow on anybody, but between the general and the men-at-arms and the Questy Knights and everybody else, we have 5 wounds on the Gorgon. So he only has 1 wound left, which, it's probably going to force him on his next turn to maybe do a swallow whole attack and try to get that on my general, assume my general doesn't kill him first. But I remember that when he did his Thunderstomp against the men-at-arms, again, he killed like 1 of them. and it was just just awful. So meanwhile, at the top of the board, you can hardly see it, but the Peg Knights charged the Eagle, easily beat it, overran, hit the flank of the Griffin, and killed it. So they mopped up that part of the board. And over here, yeah, the general again. I split my attacks between the Great Taurus and the Gorgon. I got heroic killing blow on the Great Taurus, and so killed it. And then he didn't kill the Gorgon, but everything else did. I mean, he only had one wound. I forgot who ended up doing the wound, but so many attacks going at him. He actually did try the swallow hole attack, or whatever it's called, against my general, and he did hit, and then he rolled high enough to get killing blow on my general, and then I made a ward save. And I was actually kind of rooting for him on that because I felt that, I mean, what a great ending to the game. I mean, he was going to die anyway. He's initiative 3, and so that would have happened before, or at the same time as all the other attacks. If he could have killed the general that had been killing all his stuff, what a great ending. But it wasn't to be. My general survived, and we just called the game right there. He really doesn't have, he has his Dark Emissary left, and really nothing, I don't think. So, oh, 2 Warhounds. So that was it. That was a real fun game. I was thinking afterwards that the monsters need some help in order to be a feasible army. My son disagreed with me. He felt that now that he's played him once, he could play a more competitive game with him next time. So we'll see. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.